Hi and welcome to Geekology. I'm David.
I'm Sven.
And tonight we're doing a viewer request Q&A session. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Right, there's some preparation needed. So this is the Q&A question sheet that has been prepared. Now I have taken the time to read this, I have researched it, and I think you are the best person to answer this. So this is going to take part in two sides. So this is your side of the preparation.
Yeah.
Okay. This is my side of the preparation. So I've got the battery for my iPhone, I've got a PSP, I've got my Nintendo. I'm good to go.
Q&A from Valentine, I hope I'm saying this right, Valentine Vos from Amsterdam. It looks like we're, assimilating the entire planet.
It is, we're doing that. This has nothing to do with these questions, they are great questions.
The reason is because the questions are about Transformers, and he knows about as much about Transformers as I know about fishing.
No, that is not true. That is very not true. I'm incredibly well versed in the Michael Bay universe. You just never asked me those questions.
I said Transformers. The real ones.
In the meantime, while he does this, I will be going with Star Trek: The Wrath of Gems.
Could you talk a little bit about the origins, Diaclone, Hasbro, Takara, the comics, and of course the US animated series, and perhaps a little bit about G2 and Headmasters, and what iteration do you like most and why?
It would have been easier to ask, could we stop you talking about...
Have we not covered this?
In sections of videos, yes, but as an actual answer in one go, no.
Transformers started off as two lines, Diaclone, Microchange. They were both Takara products in the late 70s and early 80s. What basically happened, Hasbro came along, saw them at Tokyo Toy Fair, went, we want to market those, combined the two together, created a storyline around it, and that is what we know as Transformers. And then Takara introduced them as the Transformers back into their own home territory in 1985, a year after they were launched, both in the States and here in the UK.
Do you know what's really sad?
Well, you knew that. You could have answered some of this.
No.
Yes, you could.
Listen, I will admit that there are many things in the world that make me cool, hip and groovy. The fact that I'm a middle-aged Star Trek fan who makes videos for YouTube with my best friend, probably not ranking that high on that list.
That really helps the ladies.
But no, with the
ladies. So basically, yes, that was created by Hasbro, essentially handed over to Marvel Comics to a certain degree, because it was Marvel Comics that created the characters and the basic storyline at the behest of Hasbro.
They did all the hard work.
They did the hard work, yeah, basically, like coming up with names like Optimus Prime.
Did the characters have tech specs prior to Marvel doing the comics? So Marvel did the comics, so essentially they may have came up with the tech specs specifically.
They came up with the tech specs, the bioprofiles, everything.
Nice.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pray continue.
Yes, and then Hasbro probably got some of the tech specs mixed up. Not some of the bioprofiles mixed up.
You are?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Cool.
They managed to give Skywarp, who's thick, a higher intelligence rating than Starscream, and Starscream's actually no, the tech specs were mixed around, so I think Skywarp had Starscream's tech specs, so it was a higher rank and commander of Starscream according to his tech specs, and more intelligent. And Starscream was basically nobody, even though it said aerospace commander on his bio profile.
Just so you know, we can't do the graphic representation here, but imagine here there's a wheel, 0 here, like 1 million there. It's called the sadometer, and that ranked right down.
Anyway, what then happened is that Marvel then handed over what they had done to the people who made the cartoon series, and that's why some of the characters in the cartoon series don't match the comics and don't match the tech specs and bio profiles.
I've got a meeting in my head with a lovely Japanese guy who creates toys, going, "What did you do? Why?
Why have you made Shockwave a complete wuss?" I don't know. Yeah. And why is Grimlock really stupid? No.
I'm sure that was really high on their list of questions.
Worries. So that's what happened with that. So that's why, essentially, with G1, there isn't one G1. There's lots of G1s. You've got the universe that the characters follow the original tech specs and bio profiles. You've got the universe where they follow the comics, the universe where they follow the cartoon series. And let's face it, the creation matrix became before the matrix of leadership, whatever anybody says.
And the universe where they're all run around going, we're going to die!
We're all going to die. And then you've got things like the Ladybird comics, the Ladybird books, and the St. Michael's books, and all that kind of stuff. And you just like, you've got Autobot Lightning Strike, haven't you? What do you want me to do with this lightning? You want me to catch it in a cage, I suppose? Okay, Heather. Or was it Gears? Can't remember. Too long ago. But yes, so you ended up with loads of different G1s. G1 in the UK launched in 1984, United States launched in 1994, it launched in Japan in 1995, bearing in mind the Diaclone was still on sale in 1994. And that's when Powered Convoy came out, who became Ultra Magnus.
Clash of the Clans.
I thought you were a gamer. So moving on a bit, yes, you had the US animated series that lasted for 3 and a bit seasons, because that 4th season consisted of one story. In Japan, obviously, there was follow-on seasons from that in different sort of like subheadings. So moving on to Headmasters, yes, Headmasters ended up being a different TV show in Japan. There was a completely different origin for the US cartoon series, which lasted, I think it was 2 or 3 episodes. That was basically what was season 4, didn't last past that.
Season 4 had bunny rabbits in it.
Kinda, yeah. Wasn't exactly Beast Wars Neo though. Okay. So yeah, you had that. You had Headmasters, you had Master Force, you had Zone, and so on and so forth. Loads of different shows, and you could tell they were very Japanese by that point. With the way the transformation sequences were being done as a sort of like separate thing, and all this type of stuff, and everybody running around with Japanese anime faces and stuff like that. Moving on to G2, this can be a bit of a sore point for some people. Okay, Generation 1 ended in the States, I believe in 1990, with Action Masters. Hasbro's amazing attempt to kill a toy line by introducing Transformers that didn't transform. This shockingly didn't do well.
You know what, it's one of the great ironies, isn't it? You're the Transformers fan and I'm the one who gets massively offended when they do stuff like that.
Fortunately, in the UK, we had the Classics reissues, which were also available in Canada and certain parts of Europe, which were basically the G1 early stuff, the 84, 85 stuff, 86 in fact, a little bit of 87 if I remember rightly, re-released on gold cards and gold packaging. And we actually had stories in the British comic that involved those characters again. So that kept us going. So in 91 we were still having Classics reissues, and we had some more Action Masters, and we had Action Master Elites, which were Action Masters that could transform, which was nice. In 92 and 93 we had a range that involved characters like Pyro and Thunderclash and Rotorstorm and all these characters you know from the Wreckers comics of modern day, where you're going, who the hell are these people? Which we had, and they were still G1 to us. That was basically Generation 1 lasted all the way up to 93. We had Pyro in a G1 box.
Clash of the Clans Royal.
Do you want to do some real gaming at some point?
Yeah, that's what they're for.
Yes, I see these being not used.
Don't be used. I'm warming
It's
my
a Game Boy, for heaven's sake. You can get Star Trek. What have you got in there? Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I can put Star Trek in there if I make you feel better.
Fat PSP. Wipe out Pure, you're exonerated, I'll let you off. Anyway, so G2 came along. It started off late in 92 in little parts of the United States with what were essentially repaints of the G1 toys, which were Jazz Sideswipe, this amazing black colour scheme. An Inferno reissue was a few Dinobots, and they came out in multiple colours, just to be really confusing. And it was an Optimus Prime where they coloured his trailer black, gave him 2 massive missile launcher guns and a voice pack that sounds nothing like Optimus Prime. And that came out late 92, mainly 93 in the United States. We we got 3 Optimus Primes within the space of 18 months, which were the G2 reissue of the G1 one I've just mentioned, the Laser Rod one, and there was also the Combat Hero Optimus Prime, which wasn't released as Optimus Prime here, it was released as Sure Shot after they took off the logos off his chest that said Optimus Prime and just left them black. There was also Arch Force, which was the Combat Hero Megatron. Just be really confusing. It was great. Okay, what iteration do I like most and why? G1, because I grew up with it. It was basically Optimus Prime, Jazz, Starscream, Soundwave, Grimlock, Megatron, etc., etc., etc. I was right there with the crashing of the Ark, frankly.
No, Transformers fan, love the film. Go with G1.
The animated film, I assume you mean.
Or do I?
No!
Of course I mean the bleeding animator. Okay, you know what? You over the years have cost me a fortune. The Betamax, the VHS, I got the PSP, I got the Laserdisc, I got the DVD. I don't have it on Blu-ray though, because you can see all the pencil lines.
Yeah. I am after a second DVD, a second Blu-ray edition, one from Australia actually. But there we go.
Why? Which one the Australian one?
It's been remastered and it's got extras on it. There's no extras on the British Blu-ray.
Oh.
Even though the British
Weird,
Blu-ray is really, really, really rare.
So what you're saying is if you go down under you get extras?
See what I have to put up with. Good God. Right. What Transformer and in what iteration/origin do you like most and why? Optimus Prime, original tech specs and bioprofile.
Megatron, same.
Yeah.
Although Soundwave, to be fair.
Yeah, I was going to say Jazz as second up. I mean, this is...
Jazz for you?
Yeah.
Soundwave for me.
Jazz, definitely. He's the one who basically plays outside the rules.
I did like the fact that technically at that point in time they could have probably made a tape player that transformed, but I had to wait 20 years for an MP3 version to do it. Actually 30 years, wasn't it? Really?
There were knockoffs that worked.
Were there?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Mm. They actually did a official Soundwave tape player as well. It was just a moulded robot mode with a working tape player in it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Do you know every Transformer ever?
He just feels like it. He just feels like it.
If you'd asked me about 15 years ago, probably would have been able to say yes for my sins. Now, since about 2007, can't think why.
Well, you don't know the base stuff, do you?
I know that Devastator and Brawl got mixed up in someone's head. But there we go. So yeah, well, kind of. I can probably name most of the G1 ones now, if not all of them, by sight. Though I do have a tendency to get them mixed up sometimes these days. I'm getting old. Give me a break. Right, next question. Regardless of if you own one, what Masterpiece Transformer do you like best, including special editions and all possible moulds? I'll let you off with the spelling of moulds because you're in Amsterdam.
How about just letting him off the spelling? You let me off.
You're dyslexic. You have a reason.
He has a valid reason.
Yeah, he's been watching too much American stuff.
Stop being a grammar Nazi. It's fine.
Okay. Which Masterpiece Transformer would I like the best? I do like MP10 Prime, obviously. I think my favourite still at the moment, bearing in mind there's a lot of the new releases I haven't actually had in hand, so I haven't looked at Shockwave, I haven't looked at Star Saber, I haven't had Trax yet, I haven't had Ironhide, so on and so on, and those moulds. It's probably still Grimlock, to be honest.
Megatron.
That's awful. Megatron.
I like... Okay, alright.
You like it because it's Megatron?
No, stop. What was wrong with the Megatron? Masterpiece.
It was a disaster area.
Why? I liked it. There was nothing wrong with it. It looked alright. Okay, you couldn't play with it too much. The joints are a bit loose on it, but
You can't even stand it up on its own.
mine stood up.
Leaned against some glass, I would imagine. He's just admitted on camera he owns a Transformers masterpiece.
Owned.
Yeah.
I had the Prime and I had the Megatron. Mine, I liked.
MP01 Prime, yeah.
Yeah, it was the first wave.
Yeah.
But I love the Megatron. What was wrong with the Megatron? Yeah, okay, joints are a bit
very good.
loose.
He can't hold up his own fusion cannon. You know, little things like that. I don't know.
Was that the last time you could get him as a gun?
No, classics.
No? Oh, okay.
And they're reissuing that classics one this year for the 30th anniversary of the Transformers movie. They're doing a double pack of the classics Optimus and Megatron as an anniversary thing.
Okay, that I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they put him in sort of a red colour scheme or something like that, which is quite interesting. So yes, I'm going to go with Grimlock, I think. Now, the question is which version of Grimlock. It's not the Japanese one that came with the apron. It's the Toys R Us one that was released by Hasbro in the UK and the US the first time around, not the reissue with the green plates on the green tinted plate on the front. It was the first version that came in the classic style packaging.
You could only buy on the first Tuesday of the month if the moon was full and you're
Actually,
hopping
shelf
on one
warmed.
leg.
It's shelf warmed. It was like, why are you shelf warming your Epic? I didn't understand. Too expensive.
Calm third level stars.
Gone!
Is this day's special?
In correlation with question number 1, how come Takara Tomy makes masterpieces, Hasbro makes them, Fan Toys make them sort of, and other third party companies do, and there's ones from Takasa Tony. Even if they change the names, aren't the figures copyright protected?
Ooh.
Right.
I forgot that. You know what? I could go get a board game, or I could set up the Xbox in here.
Please bear in mind, I am in no way a lawyer. I cannot give you the intricacies of how the legal system works on any of this, especially because it changes from country to country. Right. Takara Tomy and Hasbro obviously own Transformers between them. Transformers is a co-owned thing. They develop them together. So, though Masterpiece is a line that Takara
one of
take
them
the lead
probably
on,
owns proprietary.
it gets very complicated, and now Tomy's involved with it, it gets even more complicated. We won't go there. But basically, Takara Tomy lead the project as far as the Masterpiece is concerned, and Hasbro releases the ones they think are going to sell. That looks like, to me, how it works. I'm not entirely sure how much input Hasbro has into some of them. And it's interesting when Hasbro release certain ones in the West, they get toyed rather than being like the animated. Good example is Soundwave, where the eyes on Soundwave were gold on the Hasbro edition, which matches the original toy, rather than red like the Takara one, which matches the TV show. Fan Toys and other third-party manufacturers. This is complicated. They cannot use the names, those are trademarked. They cannot use the word Transformers, obviously, trademarked, so they don't. But majority of them, and there's a few exceptions, which are exceedingly dodgy in my opinion, but we won't go there, where they're original moulds, they're original designs, but they evoke the characters that Hasbro and Takara and, to a certain degree, Marvel kind of own. And IDW, for that matter. It's a very complicated rights situation, let's be honest.
The IDW stuff's really nice, by the way.
Okay.
What? Mars Attacks versus Transformers didn't quite get your attention?
No!
Funny that.
Yeah, funny that. So basically you've got a situation where third-party companies are making brand new toys, brand new moulds, that probably aren't suitable actually for children because they won't pass half the safety tests half the time.
You're not buying them for kids anyway.
But you're not buying them, they're aimed at adults, like let's blindingly obvious. The dodgy ground is the fact that if they make them too similar to the characters that they're homaging, shall we say, because, and again, it depends on which country and whose copyright and trademark laws you're dealing with. Say what you were saying.
No, I just thought it was interesting you said the dodgy ground, because, middle-aged men buying plastic robots that turn into other plastic things isn't dodgy ground at all. No.
You have been following the fact that in the last 10 years, geekdom has become normal and trendy.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring that down.
Okay.
I think me and
How
you
elitist are you?
I think me and you do a pretty good job of dragging that concept down, kicking and screaming, no, help me, no.
Fingers on lips. So basically, the problem there is the fact that Hasbro and Takara own the likenesses of the characters. So, for instance, if you do a toy that is blindingly obvious Optimus Prime, then you might be in trouble. However, you then have the question of who brings the case. Is it Hasbro, or is it Takara Tomy, or is it a combination of the two? And is it worth their while spending the money to do it if this company that they're going to sue just disappears into the ether? Because they're reasonably swift to manoeuvre themselves out of issues, I would imagine, because they're quite swift on the ground getting things out, let's be honest. So you've got a question of what can Hasbro actually do about them, and is it in their best interests to do something about them? Now, if any of these companies who make third-party figures really start making a dent into Hasbro's sales figures, they're going to. But they're not going to. They're not made in the kind of quantities that are going to cause a problem.
Can you imagine the sort of things you'd have to be talking
about?
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, well, yeah.
Although, to be fair, one company did have a really damn good go at it, because I remember seeing a load of what looked like it was Masterpiece packaging, and I said to you, I'm looking at very, very good looking copy Masterpiece packaging.
We'll come on to that in a moment.
And you were like, don't touch it with a March
We'll come on to that. Those are actual knockoffs. We're talking about third party toys that aren't.
I was covering the knockoff thing.
Yeah, the knockoff thing's a separate issue entirely. But third party toys are. It's not something I go in for myself, to be fair. But then you've got the issue of some third-party toy companies are making add-ons for official toys. Now, to make use of that, you have to buy the official toy. Why would Hasbro want you not buying the official toy? You have that question mark. However, encompassing this whole thing, Hasbro, under at least the laws in the United States and in the UK, would have to show that they basically protect their intellectual property, that is the likenesses, the logos, etc, etc, etc.
At which point anybody can wave a Michael Bay film at you going, no you don't, no you don't, look what you let happen to it.
So basically, if someone based in the UK or the United States actually created a toy that was the likeness of an actual Transformer and marketed it, they would have to sue them and shut them down on the basis of protecting their IP. At least that's how the law is supposed to work. So the whole third party thing is a minefield. It can be argued that the third party companies aren't technically doing anything wrong except for using IP of characters, but that's really difficult to actually prove. And the people making the third party add-ons for the first party products really are just sort of like providing accessories. That's like saying a company that makes Perspex stands you put your toys on are unofficial. So, it's a very complicated situation. But you mentioned Takara Tomy, which, let's face it, it's a knockoff company. Now, there's been some rumours that these knockoffs are in fact not knockoffs, they're seconds from the factory, etc.
No, they're knockoffs.
They're knockoffs. Because even if they were being smuggled out of the factory...
knockoffs, not even...
Yeah, if they're being smuggled out of the official factory, because they're not up to the quality of the product, that means that the licensing fees to the companies who own the rights to the cars, for instance, with the Autobot cars, aren't getting their license fee. So, regardless of how that situation is happening, they are knockoffs because they've not been licensed by someone. if not, even if they're licensed, if they've been turned a blind eye to, someone along the line isn't getting the money that they're due because their product or their IP is being used. So, for instance, you buy a knockoff Sideswipe, the fee that should have gone to Lamborghini isn't. Knockoff. Okay? Takasa Tony is basically a play, obviously, on Takara Tomy. It's still a knockoff. There is no licensing. It isn't licensed or officially in any way, shape, or form. And there are plenty of the knockoffs running around that say Takara Tomy on them as well. So be very, very careful. There are plenty of guides on the net. Make sure you check them out before you buy any. And if you're on eBay and you find a masterpiece toy that's sealed in its box and it seems to be too good to be true, it's a knockoff more often than not. So,
and always remember, when you're using the black bullet in Mario Kart, make sure you're not turning around the corner as you do it.
Quite. So yeah, that's my take on all of that. Loads of people are going to probably disagree with me. I'm no lawyer, so everything I've said has been sort of that's how I understand it. Will there ever be a new cartoon series complete in the style of G1 but in higher quality?
Time will tell, but bleeding unlikely.
I can't see it.
Not with the movie. Not with what's going
on.
on.
While that movie universe is going on, there will be no way that's going to happen.
Although, to be fair, computer processing power is getting real cheap, animators getting cheap, lots of fans out there produce stuff, so...
Your definition of cartoon may be stretched a bit.
Yeah. But in a format, it could definitely happen.
It'll be interesting to see what the Earth Wars cartoon series is going to look like, which is Combiner Wars, Titan Returns, and the third part, whichever it was going to be called. Because that seems to be aimed at the sort of like teenagers to adults. Having said all of that, there will come a time when the current Transformers stuff will have fallen by the wayside. There will be...
His question's a good one, yeah? But how about this? It's not will there, it's when.
Well, yeah.
When will there be a new one?
When will there be a new G1?
Let's face it, there will be. It's not there won't be, it's a time thing.
Yeah, I think once we've gone past the whole current, everything has to be gritty, realistic stuff. Because let's face it, it's becoming a bit of a drag at this point.
Yep.
I mean,
you know what? That's one of the reasons why I like Supergirl so much.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There is that little bit of me that cringes like hell with the cheesiness of it, and then goes, "I used to love that when Lois and Clark did it."
Yeah. And the Flash. I'm watching some more of the Flash. Loving the Flash. Flash and Supergirl. That loving it.
Yeah.
So the Bayformers.
Bayformers. Robots that suck ass.
That. Once the Bayformers thing is over.
You know, there's probably some Bay Transformer fan out there who's really pissed.
And Hasbro find themselves possibly having to give Transformers a rest. There will be potentially some fallow years. It'll be like in the United States between 1990 and 1993, or it'll be like other periods.
I hit a snowman.
Beast Wars or whatever. Hasbro and their writing partners and their media partners will probably let Transformers lie for a little while, and you might.
They won't let it lie. You just won't let it lie.
So gonna slap him in a minute. And you might see yourself in a situation where the kids who originally collected the toys when they first came out, like me, grandparents, you might see, in my opinion, you will probably see a reboot of the original Generation 1 with the original characters in their original character forms. They all obviously have different physical forms, but their characters will revert back to their original good guy, bad guy. Optimus Prime's not going to go around killing people kind of form. They will add in extra characters. I personally would love to see a reboot of G1 where the Nemesis is rebuilt into a tidal wave, because that makes sense to me as a base for the Decepticon jets. Maybe I'm nuts. I don't know.
No, it's no maybe.
Maybe taking some of the ideas from everything we've had up until this point, any of the good ideas from each of them, and reseeding them into G1, that would make sense. So for instance, Metroplex having been on Cybertron, his essence being in the Ark, maybe the Ark being built back into Metroplex, or the Ark becoming Omega Supreme, like in Transformers Animated. Triptychon becoming the Nemesis, and the Nemesis then becoming Tidal Wave. This all kind of makes sense in my head, but you know what headcanons can be like.
Yeah, they cost you extra and had to come from a third party.
Hey, in my head, the Meta Doctor from Doctor Who goes back in time and ends up being Peter Cushing. I'm nuts. So will there be a new cartoon series completing the style of G1 but at higher quality?
Yes.
There will be a new series at some point that will evoke G1. It will have additional stuff. Whether it'll be a cartoon is another question. Depends on your definition of cartoon. It may well be CG. I would personally love to see a live action CG mix version of things like Target 2006 and a new version of Transformers, the original Transformers movie, in the same kind of bouncy, feel good way, but with CG and live action. You don't know. Anything's possible, let's be honest. It could be on a holiday by that point. So,
yeah.
I hope you haven't found David playing video games too boring to watch. Thank you to Valentine for the questions. We have actually got a second batch of questions from him. Which
I can join in with those!
Yeah, they're about Star Trek. We thought a separate video would probably be a good idea, so that people who are just into Transformers could watch this one, or just into Star Trek could watch the other one. So I hope that's fulfilled your requirements, Valentine. And if anybody else has any questions they'd like to put to us, please do feel free to put them in the comments below. Message us on Facebook, on Instagram, which is where this one came from, which is my personal account. So I was like, okay.
And if you have any really long Transformer questions, you may wish to suggest a game that I can play in the meantime.
How rude.
Thank you for watching. Good night.
Bye.
Hi and welcome to Geekology.
Okay. So I was putting on my jacket.
So pretty, you're just so pretty. We want to do some better hair actually. We've got a little bit of Fred Adams going on. Yeah, there you go, perfect.
L'Oreal, because I'm worth it. Head and shoulders.
So
As the
one bottle at a time.
Yeah.
Isn't anime face a bit like a com shop?
Things that need to be cut.
So I wanted to check that we were still recording.
What a perv.
Oh, we were! Sorry. It's time for us to meditate on an ocean. I've got Mario Kart. We're well good. Oh, actually, shit. When do I need to bid on that on eBay? I think I've got about 20 minutes left.
Sega. Fair enough.